All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about real music and doing a little Kurt Loder for you here. Some music news, not brought to you by anything except Patreon, YouTube memberships, and Buy Me a Coffee and PJ Rock super chats as I talk about these things in real time for a couple of people who would care about this, just like you and just like me. So, this is going out to all of the so called classic rock radio stations because you need to know about this. Neil Young and Joan Baez. I am shocked that Joan Baez is still with us, but she is. So, Neil Young and Joan Baez perform at Bernie Sanders' Fighting Oligarchy rally. Fighting oligarchy. I wonder if they're going to be fighting George Soros at all. Just throwing it out there. I mean, if you're going to fight oligarchs, you should fight some of the most abusive and harmful of the bunch. And I would think Soros would be at the top of the list since he has all of that clout where he puts district attorneys in places and he gets governors elected, and he really works on the courts, and he's an oligarch. And his son is also an oligarch, and they're pretty creepy and scary. And they have ties to Nazi Germany. I'm going to throw that in there just for good measure. They have ties to that, but they don't really specify what kind of oligarchy. Neil Young, by the way, used to drive an electric car. I'm not sure if he still does, and I'm not sure if he ever owned a Tesla. But my guess is they're targeting Elon Musk because he apparently is the worst oligarch. None of those oligarchs from, different European nations who are running NATO, none of those types of oligarchs, I don't think. The rally was called Where Do We Go From Here? That's the name of the rally. Where do we go from here? And Senator Bernie Sanders was there, who all of a sudden is like a big deal again. Talk about having nobody else in the bullpen, right? Nobody else can come out and pitch for this team. So they bring in their oldest pitcher, Bernie Sanders, who is now fighting oligarchy. I'm fighting oligarchy. All right. I'm trying to do a Bernie. That wasn't too bad. It sounded pretty good in the headphones. I don't know how it's going to sound in the video. Fighting oligarchy. I'm fighting it. If that was good, give me a thumbs up. Even if you don't like my politics, I thought it was a pretty good Bernie. All right. So Young, that's Neil Young. He's definitely not young. He should be known as Neil Old at this point. He should switch his name to Neil Old. He performed the track Rainbow of Colors, which is really concerning to the classic rock world because why? It's off his album Colorado. And it was the first time he's played the song since 2019. So Rainbow of Colors must have to do with something related to all of this stuff. Then he broke out his classic Rocketed the Free World. Keep on. Free world? How could you have a free world if you don't have freedom? Oh, I understand. Their version of freedom is different from our version of freedom. Freedom from having to be injected with anything. That'd be freedom for me. Freedom to own a firearm, that would be another one. That would be important to me. He was joined by Joan Baez and Maggie Rogers, who was also one of the performers at the rally. I don't know who Maggie Rogers is, but this is turning into a real old-fashioned peace and love fest because Joan Baez treated the crowd. She treated them like handing out Snickers bars. She treated them to a whopping five-song set that included Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around, Their But For Fortune, And John Lennon's Imagine. Of course. Of course, John Lennon's Imagine. Imagine there's no countries. Imagine our currency doesn't work anymore. It's easy if you try. All right. Wow. I shouldn't sing. A lot of people shouldn't sing, though. Add me to the list. Neil Young, Joan Baez. I don't know. I didn't hear it. I'm guessing it's a little removed from, what they used to sound like way back when. They also did America the Beautiful, which is interesting. And they also did Bob Dylan's Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, for which she was joined by Maggie Rogers. So a stunning set, 5 songs. Wow. And this was supposed to be fighting oligarchy. I could do it. It's those 2 words anyway. Young, Baez, and Rogers weren't the only musicians that Bernie Sanders got to rub elbows with this past weekend. Bernie also turned up at the Coachella Festival in Indio, California, making an appearance during Clairo's set. Clairo. It looks like Cairo with an L. Clairo's set. Oh, and that was with Florida Congressman. No, it's not anybody famous. It's Maxwell Frost. Not to be confused with Maxwell Smart. No, Maxwell Frost, who isn't staying very frosty, apparently. He's the youngest member of Congress. Actually, he's the first Gen Z to be elected. He's from Orlando in Central Florida, where, that's kind of like our San Francisco here in Florida. I don't think it's quite as bad as San Fran, but it's kind of San Francisco-ish. I went to his website because I do things like that. Representing Central Florida, Frost is laser focused on working to deliver change and results on issues of housing affordability, healthcare, abortion rights, of course, LGBTQ plus rights, voting rights, transportation. If you don't have a ride, you can call Maxwell and he'll get your ride. Justice reform. I mean, I guess that means the courts take over the government. Justice reform. Climate change. The climate is changing. I could attest to that. This morning was pretty chilly here in Southwest Florida. So, yeah, the climate is changing. Gun violence prevention. Maybe you could take some sort of supplement to prevent gun violence, because prevention, right? Like if you take better care of yourself, you can prevent, say, heart disease. Oh, maybe they give you something for that. Like they inject you so you won't be a part of the gun violence movement. And so you can be, I think you have to treat the, the actual problem rather than the symptoms of the problem with that sort of thing, like a change of heart, a change of mind, a repentance kind of thing. No mention here of repentance. That's not something on the list, but this is a very religious agenda here. Just putting it out in there, putting it out there. He's laser focused. So he was at this rally with old Bernie and old Neil and old Joanne. Or Joan. Sorry, not Joanne. Joan. I was thinking of the now defunct craft store, Joanne's, but or at least they're closing locations. So you got Joan Baez, Neil Young. I know I'm kind of all over the place. Maggie Rogers, and yeah, it was a great time in California, Indio, California. I don't know, folks. If you're gonna fight oligarchy, you have to fight all the oligarchs. You can't just pick and choose which ones you don't like. All right? So there you go. You're getting a lot of entertainment value here. And if I can make a few people laugh, I think at this point, folks, you have to learn to laugh, because if you don't, you're going to cry. And if you cry, you're going to be in a lot of pain. You're going to have problems. You're going to get sick. That's what's going to happen. And we need affordable health care for everyone. All right. What was that show? Call Meet the Press. I'll go on as Bertie. I mean, the hairline is starting to work for Bertie, right? It's getting there. So Bernie actually used to have a couple of good ideas. If you go back in time, and again, I'm not a fan, but you could find footage where he said that, illegal, he probably called them illegal migrants are taking jobs, right? He said stuff like that. There's footage of everybody saying the stuff that the current president is saying, but you can't see. What's weird is if he comes up with any kind of a good idea. I mean, Bernie, I'm sure, was all upset about the trade deficits like 20, 30 years ago. He probably went out there and he did speeches about it. But now you can't be for all that stuff because this guy is for it and Elon is doing stuff and he's an oligarch. So you gotta fight the oligarchs. All right. It's not that hard to do Bernie Sanders. I mean, a lot of people do it. But anyway, folks, if you like the Bernie impression, the spontaneous Bernie Sanders, think about buy me a coffee or a super chat or whatever. PJ Rock super chats, also Patreon, YouTube memberships. And that's kind of it. It's a slow day in the day of classic rock. And, this is my video, so enjoy it. God bless everyone. And yes, we all should be fighting oligarchy because oligarchs are destroying the planet.